welcome back to Modern Feminine. I'm Ahdiya. I want you to grab a coffee, get comfortable because today we're going somewhere real. I want to challenge something that I think most of us have been getting wrong. When we feel about shame about how we look, how we speak, who we are, what we want, we're usually told that the answer is to build more confidence. That if you just work on your mindset or fake it till you make it, eventually the shame will dissolve and confidence will take its place. But I don't think that's true, and I don't think it's worked for most of us because confidence is something that comes after and it's a result. You can't think your way into it while still shame is still running the show underneath your subconscious mind. What actually moves the needle, what I found in my own life and in the women I work with, is something much simpler and much more radical than confidence. It's permission. And I'm going to back up for a second. Why? Shame is not something that you were born with. Nobody come into the world feeling like there's something wrong with them, that they're too much or not good enough, or they're wrong for wanting what they want. That gets installed within us. It gets layered in over years through culture, through family, religion, through the environment we grew up in, through every message we absorb about who we are allowed to be. And for a lot of us, especially those who grew up in communities with strong cultural or traditional values around how a woman should behave, shame was almost the air we breathed. It wasn't always spoken about out loud. It was in the looks, in the silence, after you said something wrong, and in the gaps between how your mom would give you serious look and how you were expected to be on the outside. So we learn to make ourselves smaller, to monitor what we're saying, to edit before we spoke. And the thing about shame that it's really important to understand that it doesn't announce itself. Shame is not loud. It's usually trying to just make you hide, to shrink, and also change your posture. It disguises itself. It shows up as perfectionism, as procrastination, as people pleasing, as self sabotage, self blaming ourselves, as waiting until you're ready and then you never feel quite ready enough. Last year, I started building my personal brand in a way that required me to actually show my face, to sit in front of the camera, to film myself, create these B-rolls, to put myself out there, my voice, my opinion, my appearance in a very visible public way. I always told myself that I am a private person, I don't want to be seen, and I feel like I was just masking it in myself. And even though part of me was afraid for my privacy just in general and the age of AI, but there's still something inside me really wanted to be seen. But because of the shame that I was carrying in myself, I just didn't feel that it felt safe to be seen. And even though I had done a lot of inner work at that point, I had moved through a lot, but something about being seen that literally unscreened for anyone to look at surfaced a layer of shame around my appearance, how I was worried about how I look, whether I was enough to be worth watching, whether I had the right to take up that much space. Even creating these YouTube videos was way out of my horizon and my imagination. I would just freak out about being in front of a camera. And this shame in my head and my body wasn't loud. It wasn't a dramatic breakdown. It was very quiet. It became my identity at some point, how I was hiding, how I was shrinking and not showing myself. And I realized that at some point, I was waiting for the confidence to show up to rescue me, to someone to support me, give me encouragement, or someone do a collaboration with someone so that because of them, I start to go viral. But none of it really worked, and confidence never came. So, what shifted for me wasn't confidence, it was the decision. It was me saying to myself that you're allowed to do this and fail. You're allowed to be seen for who you are. You're allowed to make mistake and fail. And even though as the firstborn child, I am a perfectionist and I don't want to fail, but I give myself permission to even fail publicly. And that's permission that was the remedy, and it changed everything for me. This is why I want to say that if you're waiting for confidence to show up, it's just going to keep you stuck because confidence is built through action and experience. It accumulates over time as evidence that you can do the thing, but shame operates before you take the action. It sits at the door, it sits in your nervous system, it sits in your voice that shakes and your body when you're like, and you can't even speak the thing you want to really talk about. Sometimes if you feel like you can't give yourself that permission because you don't feel that certainty and confidence in yourself, then you can watch other people's stories and then feel that permission from them. For example, now you're watching this video as a girl who come from a very restrictive cultural background, and I was a very shy person my whole life, very introverted, and now in a space that I want to take up more space, I want to speak more, I just enjoy yapping because I know my purpose, I know I'm here to be seen. And if I've been able to do this, then surely you will be able to do the same. And here's what's important. You can give yourself permission even when shame is still present. You don't have to wait for the shame to disappear, to dissolve. It's an ongoing journey. You don't have to feel completely free of it. You just have to act while having the shame rather than waited for it to move out on the first way, because it's not something that the magic wand that you remove shame and you're done. And I want to go a bit deeper here because the shame that you carry is not yours, not originally. It was handed down to you by culture, by tradition, by family, siblings, society, school. And the message you received about your body, your desires, your voice, your ambition, your worth, those were not truth. If they were telling you that you're not doing enough or you're not good enough, then there were someone else's conditioning that was passed down to you, and you took it as the truth in your nervous system, in your subconscious mind. What does it actually look like to give yourself permission? Because I don't want it to sound too abstract and it's just something is like, I give myself permission to do whatever I want. It doesn't work like that. It looks like pressing record before you feel ready. It looks like taking action to something that you're yearning for before you're ready. It looks like sending the thing, posting the thing, saying the thing that's been sitting on your chest. Not because the fear is gone, but because you've decided you're allowed to do it anyway. That you're safe anyway. It's just your brain is wired for survival and doesn't like the discomfort of expansion. But when you actually allow yourself to feel the shame and do it anyway, then it's so much easier for your body to expand and allow itself to experience something new. Because every time you take an action that shame said you're not allowed to do it and nothing catastrophic happens, your nervous system gets a little bit more evidence that it is safe to be seen, that it is safe to say the thing, that it is safe to express myself. That's how the shame actually starts to dissolve, not through thinking about it, but through living past it. And I've noticed that a lot of nervous system people in the wellness industry say that the antidote to shame is pleasure, which is the more you create oxytocin in your body, the more you feel expanded and regulated as a woman. But I think before receiving pleasure, you need permission. It's something you need to give yourself, and I feel like that's the missing puzzle or the missing link here. And I know it sounds simple, but I also know that it's one of the most profound shifts a woman can make, because once you stop outsourcing your permission to culture, to other people's approval, to some future confident version of yourself, you realize that you have had access to this the whole time. It's that being truly rooted in your essence and your power and your authenticity. You're already allowed, you were always allowed. The confidence, the real kind that feels solid and doesn't need constant external reinforcement, that comes after. At least that's the case for myself and the woman I work with. So I want you to start there, not with confidence, but start with permission. If something in this video landed for you, especially if you've been waiting to feel ready before you put yourself out there in some way, I want you to think about what one thing you've been waiting to feel confident enough to do. And I want you to consider that maybe what you actually need isn't more confidence, but maybe you just need to decide that you're allowed and give yourself permission, or actually find people who are already where you want to be and you give that subconscious permission from their lived experience. And I'd love to know in the comments and let me know that what came up for you. And if you're new here, I make content for high achieving women who are done waiting and shrinking and are ready to actually show up for themselves in a deeper way. And subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.